Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most incredible stages of pregnancy, weeks 6 and 7. This is when a tiny embryo begins to transform into something truly amazing, an early stage fetus that's growing rapidly and preparing for all of life's adventures after birth. Trust me, by the end of this video, you'll have a deep appreciation for the miracles happening inside the womb during these weeks. So buckle up, and let's explore the fascinating journey of fetal development from 6 to 7 weeks. Fetal development, week 6. Let's set the stage. It's now week 6 of pregnancy, and the fetus is just the size of a small pea, about 5 to 7 millimeters long. While this tiny being might seem unrecognizable to the naked eye, it's already a hotbed of rapid growth and complex changes. Imagine something the size of a small bin, yet inside that little bin, a whole bunch of developmental miracles are happening. Let's break down the major developments occurring in this tiny, but incredibly busy world. 1. Heartbeat, the first big milestone. By the end of week 6, the fetal heart has begun to beat. That's right, the heart. This is a significant milestone, and even though the heart is still quite rudimentary, it's already performing its life-sustaining job of pumping blood. At this stage, the heart rate is typically around 120 to 160 beats per minute, which is much faster than that of an adult. Now, fun fact, this heartbeat is so rapid and strong that it can actually be detected on an ultrasound as early as week 6. It's the first real evidence that life is beginning to thrive in the womb. 2. Development of the neural tube. As we move on, let's talk about the brain. At this stage, the neural tube is fully formed, which means the early foundations of the brain and spinal cord are in place. The brain is starting to form distinct regions, the forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain, which will later control everything from memory to motor skills. The spinal cord is also forming along the back of the fetus. The neural tube is a precursor to the central nervous system, and it's crucial for developing not just motor function, but also cognitive abilities. So in a way, the foundation for everything the fetus will be able to do after birth is being laid right now, in these early stages. 3. Facial features begin to form. Now, let's take a look at the face. Week 6 is when the facial features, though still very rudimentary, begin to take shape. At this point, the eyes, which were initially just dark spots, are now becoming more prominent. The eyelids are forming, but they're not yet open. There's also a tiny ridge forming where the nose will soon appear. Even though it may not look like much yet, the basic architecture of the face is developing fast. Fun fact, the fetus's face will become more defined and human-like in the weeks to come, but the mouth and nostrils will remain pretty simple for a while. Isn't it amazing how much is happening so early? 4. The limb buds, the foundation of arms and legs. At this stage, the limbs are still in the early stages of development. You may not yet see distinct hands and feet, but limb buds are beginning to form on both the arms and legs. These tiny little bumps will grow into fully formed limbs over the next few weeks. It's hard to believe, but the bones that will eventually form the arms and legs are already starting to harden. Right now, those limbs are like little paddles, but in a couple of weeks, you'll start to see fingers and toes. They may look like little flippers now, but that's only the beginning. 5. Internal organs start taking shape. Even though the fetus is still tiny, its internal organs are beginning to form. By week 6, the liver is starting to produce blood cells, and the kidneys are beginning to develop. The digestive tract is starting to take shape, though it's still not functional yet. It's fascinating that even in these early weeks, the liver is already working hard, performing the crucial job of producing blood cells. And though the digestive system isn't quite functional yet, the foundations are there. All of this activity sets the stage for the fetus to be able to eat, digest, and metabolize food after birth. 6. Development of the circulatory system. As the heart begins to pump, the circulatory system is rapidly developing. By week 6, blood vessels are forming, which will soon transport oxygen and nutrients to the developing organs. It's important to note that the placenta, which will take over the job of providing oxygen and nutrients to the fetus, is also beginning to develop at this time. The placenta acts like a lifeline between the mother and the fetus, supplying everything the fetus needs to grow. It's an incredible organ that will develop more fully over the next several weeks, ensuring the fetus has everything it needs to grow and thrive. Fetal development, week 7. Now, let's move on to week 7. By this stage, the fetus is roughly the size of a blueberry, about 10 to 14 millimeters in length. And let me tell you, things are progressing rapidly. The development that took place in week 6 only sets the stage for what's coming next. 1. Rapid growth and limb formation. In week 7, the limb buds are lengthening, and it's around this time that distinct elbow and knee joints begin to form. The arms are starting to take shape, and the hands and feet, although still webbed, are beginning to differentiate into finger and toe-like structures. Soon, we'll see even more progress as the fingers and toes will separate. Now, the fingers and toes aren't going to look quite like fully formed hands and feet yet, but they are starting to take shape. It's crazy to think how rapidly these little appendages are forming, considering just a week ago, they were still simple paddles. 2. Facial features becoming more defined. The eyes, although still sealed shut, are becoming larger and more prominent in week 7. The ears are also forming, though they're still in their early stages. The face is starting to look more human as the nostrils and upper lip continue to shape up. The baby's jaw and chin are also beginning to take on more definition. These tiny changes might not seem like much, but they are setting the stage for what will eventually be a fully formed human face. And, fun fact, while the eyelids are starting to form, the baby is still not able to blink yet. But those little eyes will be blinking away in just a few short months. 3. The digestive and respiratory systems are developing. At 7 weeks, the digestive and respiratory systems are still in their early stages of development. The intestines are continuing to grow and twist into place, while the lungs are starting to form, though they won't be fully functional until after birth. By now, the baby is starting to practice some of the reflexes needed for sucking and swallowing in preparation for feeding. Believe it or not, the baby's reflexes are already being fine-tuned, even if they can't feed just yet. These early systems will be ready to go once the baby is born, and it's all thanks to the rapid growth that's taking place right now. 4. The nervous system is taking shape. The nervous system, which includes the brain, spinal cord, and nerve cells, is undergoing rapid development at this stage. The brain continues to grow, and its different regions are starting to specialize. These specialized areas of the brain will eventually control everything from voluntary movement to emotional responses. It's mind-blowing to think about the neural connections that are beginning to form. In fact, by week 7, the nervous system is already setting up the foundations for complex behaviors and sensations, like pain and pleasure. Your baby is already starting to feel in some ways. 5. Gender development. At this stage, it's possible to start seeing the development of gender-specific features. However, it's not yet obvious from an external perspective. The internal reproductive organs are forming, and while it's still too early to tell on an ultrasound, the fetus is beginning to develop either male or female characteristics. Even though it might be too soon to tell, the early groundwork for gender is already in place. Over the next few weeks, we'll get clearer signs of whether the fetus is male or female, but for now, we can only imagine. Conclusion: weeks 6 to 7, the building blocks of life. From week 6 to week 7, the fetus undergoes remarkable development. From the heartbeat beginning to pump life-giving blood to the forming facial features, limbs, and organs, it's clear that this is a time of rapid growth. The foundation for all future systems, the brain, heart, lungs, digestive system, and more, has been established, and now it's only a matter of time before the fetus will be ready to take on the outside world. I hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into fetal development during weeks 6 and 7. Isn't it incredible how much happens in such a short time? If you've learned something new today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Now it's your turn. Drop your questions or share your experiences in the comments below. Were you surprised by any symptoms at 6 or 7 weeks? Or do you have tips for other moms to be? Let's chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.